You read that title, so you already know what's up. I secured the bag this year to the tune of $40,000, and you could too. In this video, I want to give you tips and tricks to dramatically increase your income year over year, how not to settle, don't stay at your job, that's a major key, and much more. So please make sure you keep it locked. It's Crystal with the Cash Compass. All right, welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have learned in school about money, but for whatever reason, they forgot to mention it. If you love everything personal finance, investing, and economics related, that is all we talk about here. So definitely make sure you subscribe, and while you're down there, make sure you hit the bell. Let's get into it. All right, so if you've been on my channel for a minute, you would know that this is nothing new to me. I have a video that I will plug in right up here where I talk about how I secured a $30,000 increase in my salary. And I think that was just a couple years ago, like maybe back in 2019, 2018 or so. So I've been in my bag, but as always, my price goes up. And that is a major key in life. Your price must always go up, okay? The number one tip I can give you to making sure that you are dramatically increasing your income every single year is to always be looking, okay? Don't stay stagnant. Do not get complacent. A lot of people, I think we don't have that problem as much these days because we're not like our parents. We don't stay at jobs for like 30 years, but people still get comfortable at the 5-year mark or more, right? So if you've been at a job for 5 years and they've been hitting you with that tragic 3%, it's time to start looking. And even if you're happy at your job and you are satisfied with what you do, it's still important to look because market rates change and they normally go up, right? So you may be at your job doing something, working your behind off, and you're getting paid X amount, but you look into the market for that same job that you're doing and it could be $10,000 or $20,000 more. So if you want to stick around with that company, you can probably present that like, hey, I've been doing my market research, and from what I see, this job is actually worth 10K more, so I'm gonna need that. And if they hit you with the, oh, we have a budget, we can't do that, market is lying, pack up your bag and go. Being complacent will almost always screw you over in every situation, okay? Do not accept the bare minimum because you deserve more. And I don't know if this is financial advice or relationship advice, but it's giving combo. Let me tell you my problem with pay raises. You have assessments at your job. You may or may not have that. If you don't have that, then you're probably really screwed. But if you have assessments, while they're good, you can track your performance. They're probably not directly tied to your pay increase, okay? Because, excuse me, these budgets are typically predetermined at the beginning of that company's fiscal year, okay? So they already allot a certain amount for bonuses, a certain amount for promotions and pay raises because they have a budget and they want to stick to it. Now, can they stretch that budget a little bit more? Of course. We see the government always stretching the budget, okay? But they're very, they're stingy when it comes to doing that. Not all companies are like that, but a lot of them are. And it's funny because I was talking to a former, I guess higher up at my other job that I quit. Spoiler alert. But I was talking to her and she was basically saying, why don't you just do more work if you want to go into a manager role, because that's what I wanted to do, right? If you wanted to go into a manager role, why don't you just do those manager responsibilities now? Because, a promotion is earned. And I want to get your opinion on that. Do you think that a promotion is earned by doing the job above you, that you're actually going for, or by totally kicking behind in the job that you actually did get paid to do, right? Because she was in the belief that I should just do more manager work at the same pay. And something about it doesn't sit well in my spirit, but I definitely understood her at the same time. That is also giving combo. But let me know what you think. So the number one advice I could tell anybody who's looking for a big pay increase, you got to look for another job. That's it. Forbes said it themselves, okay? If you stay at a job for more than 2 years, you are screwing yourself financially and probably other ways too, especially if you're miserable, right? And a lot of times, if you're doing the work, they're not going to really be incentivized to give you more money versus other companies who are actually looking for new talent, trying to fill voids. Maybe they're a little bit more desperate than your company is, right? They already have you. Who cares? Maybe another company is willing to negotiate. Maybe you could squeeze another 5K out of them because they really need the talent, because you sold yourself during that interview and they absolutely need you. There's much more wiggle room there versus trying to beg for money at your current job. We are simply not our parents, okay? Our parents were married to the company. We married to the money. This is how I got $30,000 a couple years ago, and this is how I'm getting $40,000 now. Mind you, at the job, between that $30,000 raise and that $40,000 range, it was just the typical 3% raises that I was getting, okay? And if you factor in inflation, because I love talking about inflation, I was basically not getting a promotion at all. I was actually paying them to work there, right? Because let's be real, inflation is more than the 2% that they're lying to us about. If you look at shadow stats, I'll pop it right here. It's giving way more than 2% and 3% and 4%. It's a lot more. And when you're looking for a new job, whether you want to negotiate a higher salary at your current job or go actually pursue that new job, look for jobs you're not qualified for. It's really funny because I think I talked about this on my channel before, but they said that men are way more likely to apply for jobs they're not eligible for than women are. And if you're somewhere in that crew, whether you're man, woman, dog, and you don't ever apply for jobs that you're not qualified for, go ahead and give it a shot. You can even try to look for jobs where you may have a title that you're not necessarily qualified for, right? For example, maybe you have a situation where, for me, the next step for me would be a manager, right? But there might be a company that has an assistant controller position that I would normally never even look at. But when you actually read the job description, you say, hey, I could do that. I've done that before. I do that at my job right now, right? Because different titles mean different things at different companies. You might be thinking that you're only at a manager capacity or, a director capacity, but you might be actually worth even more or have an even more senior title if you actually look around and focus on smaller companies. The problem with bigger companies is while they might have more of a reputable name and look better on your resume, sometimes you could be pigeonholed to doing a specific task or kind of be really, really niche down in that company, which not only is not good for your skill set, right? Because you're doing one thing, but again, it keeps you pigeonholed to that one thing that you're doing. So when you're looking for a new job, you don't have a well-rounded skill set. So that's why I typically like smaller companies, because they tend to give you a lot more work, unfortunately, but it's better for your career. If you got the interview, you are eligible for the job. That is some piece of advice that I got a long time ago, because I used to freak out when I would get an interview, but I had to remind myself, they wouldn't interview me if I wasn't qualified, right? Who would interview somebody who has absolutely no qualifications for the job? An idiot, okay? The idiot thing that. So don't be scared. They're just trying to really see if it's a good personality fit and make sure that you are not lying on your resume. What I like to do is go down my resume and, whatever I've listed, come up with examples for every single thing that I've listed, okay? So if I said that I know how to prepare an Excel worksheet, I better be dropping formulas in that interview. I better be explaining how, when, why, where I did that. Another thing I love doing, because if I must say so myself, I do believe I interview pretty well. I like to look at the job description of the job I'm trying to apply for, okay? And I make sure that I can show that I've done that, whatever it is, every single thing on that list, or even if I haven't necessarily done that exact thing, I try to finesse my way into it. I might not have done that, but I have the skills that would allow me to do it and learn quickly, something like this. So go through the job description and make sure that you can kind of check off the things that you have done that relate to what they're asking you to do. I forgot to mention, if there's something in the job description that you currently do, please make sure that's in your resume. You might want to word it differently, but make sure it's in your resume somehow. And you want to sell yourself without bragging. No one likes a bragger. You and I both know that. So if the job description says you need to be proficient in Excel and they're like, tell me a little bit about yourself, please, please, please do not tell them, yeah, so I like dogs and I love going to the beach and my mom actually has a pet named Frankie and I don't really like him. Don't do that, obviously. Talk about your career, talk about your skill set, and loop in whatever they have in their job description. You got to practice this. I would literally be in the mirror like, yes, my name is KrystalTodd. I have my bachelor's degree from XYZ school. Started off my career in XYZ place. And list out what you've done, right? Practice doing that, because when it comes time to interview, you're going to be spitting it out. Especially if you have to interview a lot of times, because it may take a little bit longer to find a job. Now, I really want to say this. Do not settle for anything. True story. While I was looking for a job, I actually got a job offer within, I would say, maybe 4 days or so. And if I took that job, I would have left $20,000 on the table, okay? Because that was only a $20,000 increase. And while most people would go bananas over that, like, yo, that is crazy, jump all over it, I was like, something didn't feel right. And it was because I needed 20K more. Obviously, that's a salary that someone would be happy with. I'm not saying that if they offered you 10K, be like, no, I'm looking for 15K. but it has to feel right. Something was really telling me, no, don't do it. That's not the job for you. And I'm really happy that I listened to that because, number one, I wasn't desperate to find a job. That's another thing. It's best to look for a job when you don't need it. It's really unfortunate to look for a job when you need it because you might take anything and you might end up stuck with something that's really crappy, to be honest, right? So I didn't really need it, and I know what I'm looking for. The interview is a two-way street. A lot of times employers will think it's like it's all about them, but it's like, you need me too, sweetheart, all right? I don't need you. There's a lot of you out here. You need me. You need my skill set. So ask the right questions because you don't want to be miserable at work. You're probably going to be there much longer than you're going to be at your house, right? So you want to make sure it's a two-way street, that you're asking really good questions. Number one, you'll get a better understanding of the company and it'll tell you if you want to work there or not. And number two, it's going to look like you actually are invested in the company. You must be invested in the company. You must do research. You must ask tough questions that prove that you've actually been doing research, okay? That's one thing that what the people I interview with were very surprised by, because I guess they must not hear it that often. But I was looking at everything from their LinkedIn, even the LinkedIn of people who are going to, people who are going to interview you. Ask for their names if you don't have it, and look them up on LinkedIn and try to find some information that makes you relatable to them, right? Because it's all about relatability. Anybody could do what you're doing probably, but they just need to figure out, are you a good fit? Why are you a good fit? Is your personality a good fit for the company? So you want to kind of see ways you can relate to them. So look at their LinkedIn. You can look at their any other social media that they may have, their website. If they have any financials, look at that. Do your research because it's going to make you look good and you are going to stand out from everybody. Trust me, that is a great interview tip. And lastly, don't be afraid to negotiate. If you really like the company, it works out well, everything is negotiable. So if they give you a salary, see if you can negotiate for a little bit higher, but come with facts. You can say, well, I took a look at the market and this is why I think I would be more reasonable. Based on my skill set, I think I should be at the, maybe the higher end of your salary range. And don't be afraid to ask for that. Don't be afraid to turn it down. In my last 30K raise video, I actually turned down the offer and then they came back and gave me exactly what I was looking for, right? So you can do that, all right? There is finessing to be done out here. There is money to be made. Do not leave any money on the table. But if you have any tips that maybe you can share, maybe you too have secured the bag this year or a previous year, drop it in the comments. Help a player out. We all in here to get money together. But that will do it. If you like this video, then please be sure to like this video and share with your friends. And if you have nothing else going on, you know what to do. Go ahead and binge watch me. And until next time, keep your money up.